Hello and welcome to another episode of the Instant Impact Event Show. I'm Cheryl Williams.
I'm CJ Williams. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, guys. As always, we are here to bring you information, insights, nuggets, all about how to have profitable and impactful events.
Yes.
And so every topic that we talk about, a lot of times it's about events. Sometimes it's just about mindset. And that's kind of, one of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Before we jump in, though, we have like a little story that we can kind of illustrate the topic. What is today's topic?
Make mistakes. Learn and grow.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have done that.
In all kinds of things.
And anything and everything.
What
Yes.
is something, we were just talking about a minute ago before we jumped on here, what is something that you made lots of mistakes, but you've been learning, growing, and progressing and getting better in?
Sourdough bread.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I keep asking just to make sure. I have to make the starter over and over again. And then when it comes to the bread making, like last time I forgot to use the razor to cut the top. Sometimes burn the bottom a little bit. Overwork it.
You don't want to overwork your
Keep
dough.
it, then it gets nice and tight and doesn't have enough room to grow.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. And it's, in life, it's all about making mistakes. And as when you look at a child, right, we're okay with kids making mistakes, right? We're okay with learning and growing. And I think that's the caveat here is mistakes are okay as long as you don't keep repeating the same mistake over and over again, and you learn from it, and then you continually grow from that.
Even if that's an event that you had and you didn't have all the marketing together, you had somebody else do it for you, and you think about, like, I should have did it myself. I didn't micromanage that person for this or that. People, they're going to make mistakes, and just make sure for the next event, they don't do it again.
And a lot of times in this industry, the mistake is thinking that somebody else can do it better than you, or thinking that you don't know enough and so you need to have someone else do that. And yet, if you don't know enough about the ins and outs of how to have an event, and you just want to be the speaker up on stage, right? You just want, that's where you get your joy, that's where your passion is, that's where you can make the biggest impact, is from stage. But if the other components are not coming together the way they need to, one, because you don't have the right team in place to be able to handle that, or because you don't even know what pieces of the pie need to come together. It's like, back with the bread, it's like, if you don't have the right ingredients to put in, how are you expecting this to turn out into something that you actually want? Well, the same for your events as well. As if you don't know the right layers, the right ingredients at the right amounts to put in, how do you expect to have an impactful and profitable event if you don't even know what you need to put into that?
Right, because if you haven't done it before, there's going to be parts you're going to miss. You're going to be thinking about the whole event, but then nobody thought about registration or what that's going to look like. Who's going to do it? Did you even print out name tags? Little things like that. Somebody can drop the ball on that too.
Big time.
Because you don't know.
Right. And you don't know what you don't know, right? And so that's okay. That's how you learn, though. But you've got to acknowledge the things that you don't know. Don't think that you know everything, and be okay with learning and growing and evolving and changing. And that is how you get better. That is how you take it to the next level. That's how you go from where you are now to where you want to be by learning. And that's one of the reasons that we decided to start this show, is because we could see a lot of holes in the bucket, right? People are good at what they're good at, but they don't know what they don't know. And
they
it's
don't
like,
know everything.
You want to have an event, you've had a couple events that have been not the way you want them to be, so you just think, well, I'm not going to do events. It's like, no. There's a recipe, there's a formula. You've got to follow the roadmap. You've got to follow the steps to get you to have a successful event. And maybe, you've done coaching for a long time and you want to move into speaking, but you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to pivot what the knowledge and information you have and go that direction. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Oh, were you going to say something?
Pivot.
Oh. Pivot. I mean, you have to always pivot, right?
Yes.
And you have to be. Remember the other day we were doing a workout? Man, we were pivoting our back foot, and it made all the difference, right? Just being able to pivot, you could feel the move.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're down there and pivoting the
and you gotta
foot
side to side.
Yeah, but we
you don't use your foot, you're gonna fall. If you don't change your foot,
this is the case. You can apply this to every area and aspect of your life. It's like, be okay with not knowing. Don't stay in the unknown. Seek out the answers, right? Don't just say, well, I don't know, and throw your hands up and say, meh, I guess I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. It's like, no, if you really want to change, you want to grow and evolve, then you've got to learn something new. Even when where we are right now, we've been doing events for years and years and years. We know a lot about events, but there's still things that's like, you know what?
Looking, investigating.
Let's look into this a little bit more. Or let's change this. Or let's, hey, you know what? It's a new year. What can we change? What can we add? How can we make this more exciting?
Not the same as it was last year. You got to keep evolving.
And the same thing, in our group and in our offerings, it's like, okay, how can we provide more value? How can we help our clients get to where they're wanting to go without so many bumps and bruises and so many, if we can take them and say, okay, go this way, don't go over here, okay, avoid this roadblock over here, and we can get them to where they want to go without being so scathed, right? That's where we're at now. It's like, we want to help others to fulfill what they're wanting to. Everyone has a message. Everyone has impact that they can put out there, and yet you've got to know how to get that out instead of one-on-one, one to many, right? How can you go out there and make the change that you're looking to make the mistakes, and hopefully they're not mistakes that totally
really
derail you, right? Because there are some major mistakes. I mean,
just like getting a hotel and getting the bill for your ballroom. Be $100,000 and you thought you were spending 20.
Right. Or, it's like, oh, we got a contract here. Let's get you some room blocks on there. And you don't understand that a room block, you're on the hook for that. If
you don't sell.
If your attendees don't get those rooms, you're picking them up, which means you're paying for rooms at, a couple, 300, 400, depending on, where you are. A night times however many nights that is, that adds up
50 rooms.
Very quickly, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that you want to avoid, and yet you don't have to go the route alone. You need to seek guidance. You need to seek counsel from someone who's been there and who has done that, that you can learn from, so that you don't make as many mistakes.
Like our group?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Our insights group that we have, that's what we always talk about. It's like, every week we have a different discussion, a different topic. We sit there and answer questions because we want to see you guys succeed. We want to see you take it to the next level, because when you're doing that, then you're able to impact more people. And you're also able to impact your bottom line as well. And we do see a lot of people who, out of the goodness of their heart, they want to share their message, and they're willing to, make next to nothing to do that. And so
just to help that person.
That's not a good representation, though, of what really can be done, right? It's like, you have a message, you can deliver that message, and you can make a darn good living doing it.
That's right.
Right? You can hire and have people on your team, and they can be paid well too. This is not an either or, it's an and. You can deliver your message, make it an impact, and make a profit at the same time.
Yes, you can also have independent contractors that come in for that time for that event. Because if you don't have events long enough or have something for them to do, if they are full-time or part-time, just bring them on in.
And so there's so many different things that you can be doing in your events. You've got to start looking at, what am I wanting to do? Maybe, you're, like we talked about, you've been coaching and you know how to talk to people on the phone, or you know how to talk to people through, the screen, and you do like more of a one-on-one, but you're not sure how to change that message and go one to many.
Right. You have to put your pants on for the event, because they're doing virtually. You might not be wearing pants.
I think that would be appreciated. I would hope, your pants or your skirt or whatever, put something on.
Yeah, you're going to need to.
Yeah.
It's different than virtual. You don't know what we're wearing under here. You
never know.
You don't know.
This is what
Boxers,
you see.
Boxers, you never know.
Boxers.
Briefs?
I don't know. that is we'll keep that between us. We'll let y'all just kind of guess on that one. Maybe not. Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
It's okay.
So when you are looking at failures, past mistakes, as long as you can shift that and learn something with it, was it really a failure? Was it really a mistake? Or was it a time to, feel the pain? And sometimes pain is a way of making you pay attention, right? It's not a good or a bad.
Yeah, even if it's in a pocketbook.
It's right. It's like, okay, that hurt.
Yes.
How can I make sure, but when things hurt, you pay more attention. And so how can you change what you did that was painful, right? And
Yes.
turn that into something that you can learn from that, and because it had an amount of pain, you remember that, right?
That
Like that learning lesson.
Food bill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it
F&B.
adds up.
F&B for coffee and cookies and coffee every morning, and you get to check.
Yep.
No,
They've already got your
already
card.
charged you.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I guess that's the one thing people are like, oh, that's somewhat scary. It is when
Yeah.
you don't know, right? When you don't know what you're doing, handing someone over your credit card and you've signed a credit card authorization,
Yes.
they have it and they'll bill you
And
whatever
they want to get
whatever's
that
on
bill
there.
as high as possible.
Right. That's their job, right? Their job is to bill you as much as they can because that's where they make their money.
Even on water.
Your job is to know what you want, know what to request, know what you're looking for, so that you can tell them, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I'm putting in the contract.
Yes, attempt to get this for me for booking this room.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, everything is a negotiation, right? The more that
Yes.
you negotiate, the more that you talk, and yet you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know how to negotiate or what to say or what half the stuff means, it can be very scary because it's like a whole nother, I think we have an episode, it's called like event lingo, right? It's like
Yes.
there is so much jargon and so much that goes along with
Yep.
that. And so you need to bring on people onto your team if you're
That
not
know
wanting to
everything.
handle that for you, that you don't want to do that yourself, that can take care of some of these things. Like bring in
Yes.
someone who can, be your event planner. Bring in somebody who can
Yes.
take care of your AV. Bring in somebody else who
Yes.
can work on registration or, those welcome calls or all the different things so that you can focus in on what you want to
What you
focus
do
on.
is speaking and being ready.
And maybe you don't want to speak. And
Maybe
that's
you just
okay
want
too.
to run the events.
Maybe you just want to have events on this topic and you want to bring in other people
Yes,
who
that
are doing that
specialize
for
in
you.
that certain topic.
That
Yes.
is awesome too. There's no right or wrong or one way to have an event. You can be the one that's overseeing the event.
Yes, and get 50% from the speaker.
Yep, you bring the people in, you get the butts in seats, and then you have other speakers come in, and then you guys split it. Or, there's all kinds of different ways
Yes.
to have events. And so what we want to encourage you to do is look at, what do you enjoy doing? What is your
Yes,
passion?
yes.
Where can you make the biggest impact? And then look at that and say, okay, what don't I know? How can I hire in those positions?
Yes.
How can I learn more about this
Yes.
industry so that even when they're talking to me or I'm talking to them, we're all on the same page,
Yes,
right?
you are.
We all know whether you're having a virtual event
Yep.
or whether you're having an in-person event or a myriad of, and there's all kinds of different events. I mean, you've got your seminars and your conferences and workshops and galas and,
Yes.
trade shows and expos. I mean, the sky is the limit,
Limit.
as far as the events that you can be having. And so when you're looking at it, you have to decide, what do you want to do? What aspect of this are you wanting to take care of? And how can you get educated
Yes.
in that?
Where am I weak? On
Yep.
this certain
And how can I
side?
bring in the
Yes.
pieces or learn more about this so that I don't have as many holes in my bucket?
Right, and take the time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I have an event next week and I don't know about this certain thing here. No, do it way ahead of time, way in advance, even before you book the event, because you're going to learn something and you could have negotiated something different.
And the further out, that you do it, the more time you have to work on all of those things. But as soon as you, book your venue, you're locked into whatever the terms of that
You
contract
are.
are.
Yes.
And so, you want to make sure that you know what you're locking yourself into, because you're
Right.
ready for it now. And then it's, 3 months, 6 months, whenever your event is down the road, that's when it starts, really coming into play. But you are investing into it along
Yes.
the way as
Yes.
well.
You have certain
And
clauses in those contracts.
we always say, an event, you want to look at it from a 360 perspective. There's a lot of things that come into it, but if you know, okay, and you kind of go around, I've
Yeah.
got it all taken care of. I've got the nice, neat
Yes.
package circle.
Yes.
It's all filled in because you know what's going on in all these different things.
Correct.
And again, that doesn't mean you have to do it all. It just means
No.
that you need to be knowledgeable enough to know, are people doing what they need to be doing?
Yes, they're
Is
to
it
help you.
handled?
They're
Is
there
it
to
taken
help
care
you.
of? What are we looking at here?
Yes.
And so the more mistakes that you make, the more that you can grow and change from those, then you can start looking at them as learning lessons more than mistakes, because
Right.
that's where you can grow. That's where you can evolve. That's where you can change. And that's where you're going to find, because you're not making as many mistakes, right? You're not
Yes.
making as many things that are causing you to fall and stumble, or take a couple steps back and say, whoa, am I really wanting to do this?
Right.
Then you're going to be able to get out there and start consistently having
Doing
your
that.
events, which is going to
And
create.
you're going to have more often.
Yep, and then you're going to create a bigger impact, and when you
Yes.
create a bigger impact, you create a bigger profit. We always talk
Yep.
about, how can we help you guys have more impactful and profitable events?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start firing on all cylinders, it starts working. You start getting
Yes.
that momentum. You start getting that confidence that, hey, I can do this.
Yes.
This
I can make bread now.
Yeah. This is actually fun, right? Just like when a child's learning how to ride a bike and it's kind of like
Yes.
all over the place, right? If you've ever
Yeah.
helped someone figure out you got to pedal, well, it's easier to say that than it's a
Now there's
struggle in
speed
the beginning,
demons.
right? And so when you can learn and you can grow and you see the progression, then it's like, oh, well, I was over here. Now I'm
Now
over
I'm
here.
here.
Where can
Yes.
we go now?
Yes.
How can we take this? What are the other challenges that we
Let's
can
go
overcome?
to another city now and do the same thing over and over again instead
Or-
of being close to home.
Yes. Or, okay, we've got this one event going. We're good on this. Let's add another event.
Yes.
Right?
Total different subject.
Right. But it all creates one synergistic
One
funnel for
Yes.
you. But it's like, let's create the next progression or the next,
And
or
then
let's,
the next.
or
And
let's look
then-
at it from this
then the next.
perspective.
Yes.
How could we have an event along these lines?
And then it went from 1 to 4.
And so that's what we love about events is it's never the same, right? You're always growing and changing, and you can always add to it. And then as your life experience changes, as your business grows and evolves, your events can do the same thing.
Correct.
Right? They
Yes.
shouldn't be, like frozen in time of this is the event, this is how it is from here to kingdom
Yes,
come.
and it's gonna stay
It's
this
like,
way.
No, as you
No.
grow, your event should grow with you. As you change,
Every event.
it should change as well. And then you're going to continually be able to feed that event with
Yes.
butts and seats, right? Your attendees
Love
are
it.
going to, because they're going to be like, every time I come, it's
It's
something
different.
new. It's
Yes.
different. It changes. It evolves.
Yes,
And that's
and you-
amazing because
you pushed yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they see
Push
that.
yourself,
And you
please.
can even talk about that too. It's like, hey, who was here at this last event, right? Have you noticed how much we've changed
Yes,
and
you
grown?
can talk
And
about it.
That's
It's
why
not a secret.
No, that's why you always want feedback too from your attendees because
Yes.
different perspectives, see things different ways, and then
Yes.
it gives you insight on how you can continue to grow that as
Yep,
well.
correct.
So at the end of this, like we're wrapping up now, it's like, okay, it's not enough to just listen. You've got to actually take action.
Yes.
So what can you do right now? What
What
can you
action
look
steps?
at that maybe you looked at as, wow, that was a mistake. That really set me back. That hurt, right? How can
Yes.
you look at that differently and shift the thought process and say, no, that
No,
was
we
a
learned from
learning
that.
lesson, and now I'm
Yes.
going to do this differently, right?
Yes.
I'm going to now pivot, and I know not to do this now. I'm going to go over here and change,
Yes.
right? So think
must change.
about some of those things, those ideas that are coming, and normally they pop up pretty easily. Like we can easily identify the mistakes that we have made, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
easier a lot of times
But
to
you
point
know.
out the negatives, right? Like I did this, this, and this wrong, right? Then
Yep.
the positives. So look at that, glean from that, and then leave it there and be like, okay, so these are the ones. Now, how are we going to do it differently?
Yes.
How can we learn and grow and change so that we don't have that same mistake
Yes,
again?
and get better and better each time.
Yep. And
Yes.
that's exactly, what we always talk about is growing, changing, getting better,
Evolving,
learning
yep.
from the past so that you can move forward to a brighter future, a brighter
Yes.
event that you want to have.
Greater pastures.
Yes, pastures. That's great.
Yes.
So we put these episodes out all the time. Make sure that you are, commenting
out.
and
Yes.
letting us know
Please
feedback.
reach out.
We love hearing from you
Feedback,
guys.
questions, ask us anything.
And share it with other people that you know that this can help, right? Who can this,
Yes.
if you think this message resonated with you and you think it can resonate with somebody else, share
Yes,
it.
please
I mean,
do
we would love to, build a even bigger
Community that we
event
have,
community
yes.
of like-minded individuals. And a lot of times those are speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs. That
Yep,
kind of
we're
seems
here
like we
for
can all
you.
come together. So we're here for you guys. Make sure you reach out. And until next time, remember, it only takes an instant to make an impact. Bye, guys.
Bye.